Switch Radio Sport. This is Switch.
Worcester City win that game and they will be in Division 1 Midlands next season.
Chance in Paul Job's got a chance in the penalty, gets shot in and goes to the back of the net, and Cheyenne Jarvis gets the second goal for Leaford Athletic this afternoon, found space in the 6-yard box.
Back to the edge of the penalty area with the pass, crossing towards the back post, headed goalwards and in!
That's a great shot from De Castro! Oh, what a save for Gray! And the Red Cube 2-0!
Stourbridge have won the Division 1 Midlands title.
The Women's Football Chat on Switch Radio.
Good evening and welcome along to this week's Women's Football Chat. My name is Chris Gadsby and I'm here every week bringing you the very latest from the third and fourth tiers of women's football here in England. That's the FA Women's National League. Apologies that this week's show is getting to you a day late. Time just completely ran away from me yesterday and with quite a bit going on, just did not have time to sit down, record and get it all edited. But we have a lot to go through on this week's show. You'll hear 2 interviews from the world of the FAWNL, plus we've got a fairly full programme to look back on, plus 3 FA Cup games and looking ahead to what promises to be another really important weekend of women's football as we tick towards the Christmas break and teams vying for positions ahead of that small break. But we will get straight down to it then, because we have got a lot to go through with the results from the past 7 days. And we're going to start with the Women's FA Cup. The majority of these took place 10 days or so ago, but there were 3 games that were postponed and have been now played a week later. Here, Peterborough United against Wallsend BC, a 4-0 win for Peterborough United, although it was a very good showing from Wallsend. Yes, they lost by 4-0, but it was only 2-0 in the 89th minute, and that's very respectable from them. Jessica Razu in the 45th minute, Renee Bennett in the 62nd, and then the 90th, and then Edin Oscar in the 92nd minute for Peterborough United. And then also a shock result, AFC Portchester against Worthing. The Tier 5 AFC Portchester knocking out Tier 4 Worthing by 4-1, convincing as well in the end. Lucy Jellett in the 11th minute with Worthing's only goal. And the only other game taking place in the Women's FA Cup, Watford 4, Saltdean United 0. Goals for Watford, Soraya Walsh, Coral Jade Haynes, Megan Chandler and Freda Ayisi, so relatively comfortable for Watford. What that means is we now know in full the third round draw for the Women's FA Cup, which is taking place next weekend. So Peterborough United are rewarded for their victory over Wallsend with a trip to Burnley. AFC Portchester, after beating Worthing, now get to host second tier Ipswich Town. That's a great tie for AFC Portchester. And Watford, after beating Saltdean United, go away to Charlton Athletic. We also know from the Women's FA Cup the TV picks for the third round next week. Wolves on TV again, and they're taking on their title rivals from last year, Nottingham Forest, on Saturday lunchtime, 12:15 kickoff, that one on Channel 4 and TNT Sports 1. And then on Sunday, 4 o'clock, it's Lewes against Crystal Palace. So that's the Women's FA Cup second round completely done. As is always the way here on the Women's Football Chat, we will cover the Women's FA Cup as long as there is an FAWNL side in it, which is normally up to about round 5. Normally there's 1, maybe 2 teams that get through to round 5. But let's now go through to the Northern Premier Division then. Wolverhampton Wanderers beating Derby County by 2-0. A brace for Charlotte Greengrass, 6th and 84th minute. Liverpool Feds, it's a 5-goal game against Stoke City and a late winner for Stoke as well. 91st minute to Olivia Cook, but Feds falling at home. Their 2 goals coming to Chantel Thompson and Chloe Fisher, Evie Priestley and Shannon Stamps with the goals for Stoke City. And what was quite a back and forth game. Feds take the lead only for 6 minutes, then Stoke pull it back, then Stoke take the lead only for 5 minutes, and then Liverpool Feds pull it back before Olivia Cook's goal right at the end. Loughborough Lightning against Middlesbrough, a goalless draw. Now the big game towards the top was Rugby Borough against Burnley. Burnley got the only goal of the game in this one, got it early as well. Charlie Chadwick, 9th minute against Rugby Borough, meaning that they get the 3 points. They continue their push at the top. But another really big game and a big result for Halifax. 51st minute Eleanor Ashton goal put them past West Bromwich Albion, significant towards the bottom of the table. Here is what the Northern Premier Division table looks like. So Burnley win, Wolves win. So they are both still where they are at the top of the table, but they have now got a 5-point gap to Rugby Borough. Wolves with a game in hand as well. That's that game against West Bromwich Albion that just played just before Christmas. So they could be top at the break. Middlesbrough are up a place after their draw with Loughborough Lightning. Stoke City, they were up 3 places to 5th on 14 points, as well as West Brom, who dropped 2 places but have a game in hand. Hull City in 7th, also on 10 after their game against Sporting Cowser was postponed, so they've dropped a place, but they're also on 14. Liverpool Feds in 8th, Derby County in 9th, Halifax in 10th, and now they are up 2 places after that win over West Brom. Sporting Cowser have dropped to the bottom of the table, but that's because Halifax got 3 points, Loughborough Lightning got a point in their game with Middlesbrough, and Sporting Cowser didn't play. So it looks more and more likely now. Bearing in mind we're at the halfway point for a lot of these teams. There's only 4 teams that haven't reached the halfway point. The top 3, Burnley, Wolves and Rugby, it looks fairly certain they're going to be the top 3 by the end of the season. They're 8 points clear of Middlesbrough in 4th, and they've got much better goal difference. The question is the order that those top 3 are going to be in. Who's going to be automatic, who's going to be in this playoff, and who's going to finish 3rd and miss out. Now, Wolves, you would expect will beat West Bromwich Albion. They've got double their points so far this season. So you would expect Wolves to maybe go into Christmas top. Burnley 2nd, but they will then be 6 points clear of Rugby in 3rd. So Rugby have got a lot to make up in the second half of the season. When you bear in mind that Burnley have got 29 points from 33. Wolves have currently got 28 from 30. Are they going to drop 9-10 points in the second half of the season? Evidence would suggest probably not. So it looks like maybe Rugby will be 3rd, and then it's Burnley against Wolves, and it could be whoever wins that game against the 2 in the second half of the season. But it looks like they're going to be the top 2, but in what order? Rugby 3rd. I think it's the bottom where it's going to be much more interesting. So in the Northern Premier Division, then Halifax up 2 places after their win against West Bromwich Albion, who now drop down to 6th. Switch Radio were there on Sunday afternoon, and Siobhan Hodgetts, the West Bromwich Albion manager, spoke to Kevin Moore after the game.
Chev not to be today. 1-0 loss against Halifax. What this proves today is when you're not on your A game, not 100%, things can go against you. And also Halifax will be pleased with the result this afternoon, but it just proves in this division, is it, that you can't take for granted when no matter what team are on the table, if you're on top notch for the entire 90 minutes, you get punished, don't you?
Yeah, look, I think I think performance-wise, I think we started today better than we have done over the last couple of weeks, to be honest. I think in terms of a whole, I thought we was brilliant at times. I thought we was confident on the ball. We shifted the ball with quality. It just came down to the final third, and whether that was the type of cross, coming in front of defenders, coming in front of the goalkeeper. We've got to make better decisions in the final third, and if you don't take your chances one end, they go up the other end, and to be fair, I think they had 2 shots and they scored a goal, and now teams like that will punish you. So performance wise, look, I can't fault the team, but we've got to be more clinical. If we want to go and beat teams in the league like we want to. But definitely can't take any team for granted. I think the league, obviously, it's open. It just shows that we have to be on it, and we have to make sure we concentrated and focused throughout the whole 90 minutes. Our teams will punish you. But I think a bit of a learning for us as well. So we'll go back into training this week and see what we can do to improve.
If we look at the stats in more detail, I mean, you had line share the possession. Do you think that's going to be the case anyway? Do you think it'd been, whereas it been home advantage as well? Do you think Chevy would have the line share the ball anyway? Yeah,
we knew we'd have quite a bit of the possession. We knew they would be hard to break down and defend well. I think, I thought they defended their box brilliantly. In terms of header clearances, I thought their keeper was brilliant. Made a couple of really good saves. To keep them in the game. Those goals go in. It's a different game. So fair play to the keeper.
Yeah, and he may get a goal that's get called offside as well. Hopefully had a couple of chances as well, and you're bringing players on in the second half as well. So is it frustrating because I don't think they came to park the bus. They're not that sort of team, are they? Really, because they were trying to go on the front foot themselves, but lots of possession and just it wasn't your luck today, really.
No, look, we knew they like to hit channels early. To land on seconds. They're good at what they do and what they know. So credit to Halifax there. We have to be able to adapt. And I think that at the end of the day, their game was lost today because they was better in both boxes. They finished the chance that they had and they defended their box brilliantly.
I think fair to say as well, Chef, that I don't think it's a case of fitness levels. You've got a very fit squad anyway. You've had a lot of games last 2 months, to be fair, a lot of matches to be played. A case of regroup with the players now. But before the mid-season break, you've got some cup matches on the horizon, a big game against Leeds United in the FA Cup and Loughborough Lightning on the horizon as well. So is it more of a case of say to the players, I don't think your fitness levels are the issue here. We weren't quite mentally on point as we normally are, and you'll use the next week in training to sort of readdress those issues, because it's a blip in form, really, is it, in today's result?
I don't think it was a mentally point. Like I said, I think performance-wise, I thought we played today with some great football, some of the passages of play that we made. So I don't think it was a mentally a thing. This group of players want to go out and they want to win games of football, and so do the staff. So look, the players will be in the dressing room, and I know they're gutted and I know they're frustrated. So it hurts. So we've got a good chance next week to come back on. Try and get 3 points on the board against Loughborough.
Yeah, very frustrating afternoon for West Bromwich Albion, as you can imagine. But big thanks to Shiv for taking the time to speak to us on Switch Radio. Let's look at the Southern Premier Division then. AFC Wimbledon beating #United by 3-2 in this one. Another back and forth game with Wimbledon getting the win in the end. Alicia Mulvaney put #United in front on 47 minutes. That lasted for just 4 minutes before Ashley Hinks equalised for Wimbledon. Then going further in, 15 minutes from time, Mallory Mullen put #United in front again on 75. That lasted for 3 minutes this time before Alicia Buckingham equalised for AFC Wimbledon. And then 3 minutes after that, Aliat Lam in the 81st minute put Wimbledon in front by 3-2, and they held on to that to take the 3 points. Cheltenham Town beating Billericay Town by 3-0. Megan Arnott, Emily Owen and Clarabella Hall with the goals for Cheltenham. Billericay's season of difficulty continues. And Oxford United getting a goal in the last 10 minutes. 83rd minute for Emma Thompson to get past Lewis by a 0-0. Of course, we had Watford playing in the FA Cup. Then Gwalia had international call-ups as well. So we had not many games in the Southern Premier Division. Southern Premier Division table then looks a bit like this, with Watford not playing, Bournemouth not playing, Plymouth not playing and Real Bedford not playing. The top 4 all remains exactly the same as it was. Cheltenham Town up 3 places to 5th, although they have played 11 games with 16 points. Exeter City down 1, Oxford United up 2. Lewis and #United both down 2 places, but there is just 1 point separating those 4 teams. AFC Wimbledon out of the relegation zone now. They are in 10th with 11 points. Gwalia United drop into 11th with 10 points, but they do have a game in hand. So It is very tight in the Southern Premier Division. Real Bedford are in 4th on 16 and Hashtag United are in 9th on 13. So there's a lot that can move about in the second half of the season. Billericay Town now 11 points adrift at the bottom of the table and are probably candidates for the first to be relegated this season. But they could, of course, turn it around. Let's go into Division 1 Midlands. We just had 4 games in this division because of a postponement, but a great win for Northampton Town, who won away at Barnsley Women's by 1-0. Hannah Samuels with the only goal of that game. Kidderminster Harriers against Sutton Coldfield Town was postponed, and a goalless draw between Sheffield and Notts County. Worcester City beating Lincoln City by 3-0. A brace for Nia Edwards and 1 for Jennifer Higgs in that game for Worcester City. And Leafield Athletic losing that battle towards the top against Boldmere St Michael's by 2-1. They had taken the lead through Evangeline Gallup in the 18th minute, Olivia Mitchum in the 45th and Annie Ackroyd in the 62nd minute. Turned it around for Boldmere St Michael's and they take the big 3 points. That means that they go second in the table. They have leapfrogged Leafield Athletic and now just sit a point behind Peterborough United, although Peterborough United do have a game in hand and a much better goal difference. No other movement in Division 1 Midlands apart from towards the bottom. Northampton Town in 10th now after their win against Barnsley Women. Stourbridge drop down to 11th. There was no game for them because Peterborough United were playing that FA Cup game, which they won. So the rest of Division 1 Midlands stays relatively the same. I mean, a point for Sheffield and Notts County moves them further away from any trouble. But of course, it means they are now quite away. 8 points for Sheffield behind Peterborough United at the top. Given how well Peterborough are doing, maybe the target more ought to be second place against Boldmere St Michael, but even that is 7 points to make up in the second half of the season. Lincoln United are still at the bottom with 1 point from their 10 games, but Stourbridge in 11th on 7 are only 3 points behind Sutton Coldfield Town in 8th. Now, there was no game for Kidderminster Harriers this week because their game was postponed, but that didn't stop us chatting to them. John Foster caught up earlier this week with Phoebe Hill.
Phoebe, thank you for speaking to Switch. No game for you last Sunday due to a postponement, but can you take the positives from having a week off?
I think it's great to have a week off. I think we needed it, to be honest, because we need to regain focus again. We've been lacking a bit of confidence lately, especially with scoring goals, and we've had the tough run of results lately. So it's nice to have a break and we can go again this week now and concentrate in training. I think it would be good for us as a team, to be honest, just for a mental reset and to regain focus.
Yeah, I understand, absolutely. And other matches did go ahead, however. In particular, Worcester 3-0 win over Lincoln and Northampton's 1-0 win over Barnsley Women. How do you think those results affected Kidderminster Harriers on the weekend?
I think it puts more pressure on us as a team, as like in this league, every point counts, and clubs, like, there's been some crazy results, to be honest. There's similarities in every team, and with other teams picking up victories, we can't rely on other teams dropping points, so we need to concentrate on earning more and getting better results, and we need to consistently do that and hopefully climb out of the lower half of the table.
And regarding the league table, we see week in, week out surprises everywhere. Does that show the strength in depth in this league?
Yeah, definitely. I think anything can happen in this league. There's just some crazy results, really. I feel like anyone can beat anyone on their day.
And currently you're sitting ninth with 9 points, only 10 points separating 7 teams. At this stage, is it just about focusing on your own games, getting as many points as possible, and then see where you are Easter time?
Yeah, I think in this league, like, you can't look too far ahead, really. But I reckon if we try to get maximum amount of points from the next few games, and then come Easter, hopefully we'll be in a better position then.
So as things stand, your next 3 league games are against Peterborough away, Sheffield at home, and then Northampton away in the new year. What are you hoping to achieve over the Christmas period?
Firstly, I think Posh will be definitely a tough test for us, but obviously we'll be aiming to take something from this game if we can. We know they're a strong side, but with having a week off, I reckon we'll be able to prepare ourselves better in training and set up well and see what we can do on the day. Coming into Christmas, it'll give us a reset for the start of the year then, so it'll be nice to get some points from the end of this year.
And the County Cup draw has been made for the 18th of January against the Kingfisher Devs. And there's quite a bit of a gap in the pyramid between these two teams. How do you think Andy Fisher will set up in that game?
I think it'll give us a chance to just gain some confidence, really, and because we've been lacking, we haven't really been scoring many goals. I'm not sure what he's going to do with this game, whether he gives certain people more minutes than they usually get or stick to the normal starting 11, I'm not sure, but I think it's definitely a good game to gain more confidence and put away chances that we've been lacking lately.
And do you see a County Cup trophy and, say, survival in the National League a success this year?
Yeah, absolutely. I think winning the County Cup again would be brilliant, as last year when we won it, it meant a lot to us as a team. And for the league, I think definitely we want to stay up after all the hard work we put into last season and winning the league. I don't think going down is an option for us at all. I reckon a mid-table finish would be a great achievement for us.
And as for your teammates, we've seen a few players come and go this season whilst the team have been transitioning into a National League side. Where do you think the squad is now?
I think our squad looks very different compared to the start of the season. Like, we've had a lot of players coming in and other ones leaving. But I think we've got a really strong team now, to be honest. And we've got so much more to show in this league. But we just need to keep working on this and hopefully our time will come.
And finally, Phoebe, a word on your own performance since joining Kiddie Harriers at the start of this calendar year. How do you feel that you are developing?
Since joining Kiddie, I love the team. I think the coaches are great. The vibes are brilliant, even if it's very professional as well. And I just like being in this environment, to be honest. But last season wasn't ideal for me because I moved from Stourbridge to Kiddie, obviously. But I didn't really see many minutes on the pitch. It wasn't great for my confidence, to be honest. But since this season started, I've treated it as a proper fresh start, and most of the squad are new, so it's nice to prove that I can actually play football and not just warm the benches this year. Hopefully I can get a few more starts this season. I love the team, to be honest, so it would be great to achieve more for the rest of the season, hopefully winning the County Cup and finishing mid-table. That'll be my goal for this season.
Kidderminster Harriers midfielder Phoebe Hill there speaking to John Foster earlier on this week. We'll have a look at their game coming up this weekend shortly. Before that though, let's go through the rest of the results from the past 7 days. We'll go to Division 1 North to start with, where we had an almost full programme. We started with a full programme but sadly didn't finish with one. Blackburn Rovers 0, York City 3, Sharon Buckle in the 6th minute, Katie Astle in the 35th and Ruby Watt in 45+1. So York getting their scoring done early in this game in the first half and then just holding on to it in the second half. Big result towards the top of the table though. Cheadletown Stingers losing to Durham Sestra. Grace Collinson 89th minute goal for Durham means that they beat Cheadletown Stingers by a goal to nil. Chestler Street Town 2, Chorley 2. Great game this one. Taylor Gunn and Rachel Unsworth with the goals for Chorley, but Jessica Richardson and Jenny Ashton with the goals for Chestler Street Town. 0-0 at half time in that game, and it finished 2-2. Doncaster Rovers Bells against Norton and Stockton Ancients was abandoned after a serious incident to goalkeeper Scarlett Slater-Rowley. She was involved, this is a statement from the Doncaster Rovers Bells website, was involved in a serious collision with an opposition player in the 68th minute. An accidental knee to the head and neck left Scarlett unconscious, with players around the incident immediately signalling for assistance. Physios from both clubs provided excellent care, along with Norton and Stockton Ancients player Erin Green, who is a qualified doctor and came through the Bells Academy. With blood coming from her nose and concern over a potential neck injury, an ambulance was called for Scarlett and arrived approximately 40 minutes later. She received treatment on the pitch for a further 20 minutes before being taken away by the ambulance just after 3:30 p.m. for assessment, accompanied by Bell's physio Lydia Wade. Club officials have been in contact with Scarlett's parents and Lydia, who reported that she is conscious and talking while awaiting an MRI scan. We wish to send our heartfelt thanks to all those involved in the aftermath of the incident, which saw medical staff alerted quickly, as well as those who carried out the treatment. They do say that they will provide an update whenever possible to her condition, which has not yet happened, but we wish Scarlett all the best moving forward in her recovery. So that game was abandoned. The game, I believe, was 2-1 to Norton at the time when it was stopped in the 68th minute. Elsewhere then, Leeds United 3, Stockport County 0. Alice Hughes scoring in the second minute to put them in front early, then Drew Green and Ellie White with the other goals for Leeds United. Other big game towards the top, Wythenshawe losing to Huddersfield Town. Rima Lord-Mears in the 79th minute, with the difference between these two sides. So Huddersfield Town get the 3 points as Wythenshawe lose for only the second time this season. What it means at the top of the North table, though, my word, is it tight. Huddersfield Town go top. They jump 2 places with that win over Wythenshawe. All these teams have played 10 games. They are all on 22 points. First, second and third separated by just goal difference at this stage of the season. But watch out as well for Leeds United in 4th. They are on 20 points but have a game in hand. So if they were to win that, they could jump up to the top of the table themselves. So really tight at the top of Division 1 North. Chorley in 5th, Stockport County 6th, Norton Stockton Ancient 7, Durham, Chester Street Town 8th. They are all in the same position, but towards the bottom, Durham Sestra, they got those 3 points against Cheadletown Stingers and are up a place to 9th. York City got the 3 points against Blackburn Rovers and are up a place to 10th. Doncaster Rovers Bells therefore drop 2 places into the relegation zone with 6 points. Of course, they had that game against Norton abandoned. They were losing at the time, but they also don't have any games in hand over York City or Durham Sestra either. Blackburn Rovers still at the foot of the table, still yet to score a point this season. They are 7 points adrift and they've played more than the teams they are trying to catch. Division 1 South East then, AFC Sudbury losing to Queen's Park Rangers by 3-2. And all these goals came in the first half. Fern Orchard and Juliet Kahind Adebolo Arimo in both in the 22nd minute, apparently, according to full time. And Ellie Searle in the 41st minute. Emily Eberhardt and Faith Harrison with the goals for AFC Sudbury. Queen's Park Rangers, 5 yellow cards in that game. Cambridge United 1, Norwich City 2. Zoe Wood with the only goal for Cambridge United, but Grace Riglar and Freya Simmons with the goals for Norwich City means they get another valuable 3 points. Actonians win away at Dulwich Hamlet by 1-0 through Abigail Cargbo. Fulham, big win for them in this clash between the teams towards the top of the table. We'll have a look at it again in a moment, but shows just how dominant they're hoping to be for the remainder of this season. 2 for Ellie Olds, 1 for Kaylee Stead, 1 for Stella Morgan and 1 for Katie Dungate for Fulham. A big victory for Milton Keynes Dons against Chesham United, 7-0. 2 for Amanda Chimber, Giuseppina Carnival, Rosa McDonald, Madeline Pollard, Sydney Wotton and Mia Day with the other goals for Milton Keynes Dons. And Chatham Town 1-0 winners over Luton Town. Ellie Perkins with the only goal in the 69th minute. What it means For the Division 1 South East table, Fulham remain top after their victory on 28 points from 10 games, 9 wins and a draw. Norwich City right behind them with 9 wins and a defeat from their 10 games, so just 1 point between the two. They are 8 points clear of London Bees now, and it is going to be those two teams at the top of the table at the end of the season. It is just going to be a case of which order. I think very much like Burnley and Wolves in the Northern Premier Division, it may well just come down to the game between those two sides. Fulham won the one at home in August. When they meet again in February, it might just be that is what decides it, but they are streaks clear of everybody else in the division. London Bees remain third, Queen's Park Rangers fourth and Chatham Town fifth. Actonians upper place into the top half. Cambridge United dropped to seventh, but they've got a game in hand over Actonians. Luton Town in eighth, Dulwich Hamlet ninth. Milton Keynes Dons, though, big win over Chesham United. They move into 10th after AFC Sudbury lost, but Sudbury do have a better goal difference and a game in hand. But maybe that shows where Chesham United are in comparison to the other teams they're trying to catch. They're now 6 points adrift from dropping out of the FAWNL. Division 1 Southwest, just 4 games here because Marine Academy Plymouth against Ascot United was postponed. Abingdon United against Portishead Town, a 1-0 win for Abingdon. Erin Hartigan with the only goal in that game. Keynsham Town against Bristol Rovers. Georgia Galley, Abigail Todd and Alea Beale with the goals for Keynsham Town. Maisie Collis with the only goal for Bristol Rovers. Maidenhead United 2, Bournemouth Sports 1. Maidenhead getting the first goal early. Megan Harper in the first minute, and in fact Isabella Stockton in the 8th minute made it 2-0. Hannah Bennett got one back for Bournemouth Sports, but not until the 94th minute, so it was a very late one to try and get another equaliser. As I said, Marine Academy Plymouth against Ascot United postponed, but Swindon Town against Moneyfields, that huge clash at the top of the table, and it's Swindon Town who prevail and stay perfect. Annabelle Colston 52nd minute, Lacey J Liggett 81st. Ali Hall got one back for Moneyfields immediately in the 82nd minute, but they were not able to find an equaliser. What it means for the table, Swindon Town go back top over Moneyfields, and they have a game in hand. They've played 9, won 9, goal difference of 22. Moneyfields dropped down to second, then they are just still 2 points behind, but as I said, they have now conceded that game in hand to Swindon Town and are below them in the table. Bristol Rovers on 19 points in third, so there's a 6-point gap now between Bristol Rovers and Moneyfields. Bridgewater United fourth on 17 points, but they have 2 games in hand on Moneyfields. If they win both of those, they would go to 23. So maybe keep an eye on Bridgewater United over the next few weeks when these games start to get played. Abingdon United 5th, Maidenhead United 6th. They stay where they are. Keynsham Town, though, the big winners, up 3 places with the victory. They are up to 7th now on 10 points. Bournemouth Sports in 8th on 10 points. Ascot United 9th on 9 points. And Marine Academy Plymouth 10th on 8 points. Of course, Marine against Ascot was postponed, which is why they've now got a game in hand. So again, it's so tight there between like 7th and 10th. They have now pulled themselves 4 points clear of Portishead Town and Worthing. Yes, Worthing have got a game in hand over Portishead Town, but there is starting to become a little bit of a gap there between 10th and 11th in Division 1 South West. Right, that is all of the results from the past 7 days in the FAWNL. Let's then go ahead and have a look at what is scheduled to be a full programme this weekend. Northern Premier Division then, Derby County against Rugby Borough is 9th against 3rd. Halifax take on Hull City, 10th against 7th. Middlesbrough against Burnley is 4th against 1st. That's probably the game of the day in the Northern Premier Division. Sporting Cows are against Stoke City, 12th against 5th. West Bromwich Albion against Loughborough Lightning, 6th against 11th. And Wolverhampton Wanderers against Liverpool Feds, 2nd against 8th. So Burnley travelling to Middlesbrough. The thing is you look at it and you go, well, Middlesbrough are in 4th. It's going to be a difficult game. And then you look at it and you go, well, Burnley already in the first half of the season have got double the amount of points of Middlesbrough. That's how dominant the top two are. So is it going to be that difficult for them? Is it going to be one where Burnley look at it and go, I don't know. I mean, they won 5-0 against Middlesbrough on opening day. Wolverhampton Wanderers, of course, against Liverpool Feds, the other game. Wolves won 4-0 against Liverpool Feds on opening day. So those two, particularly Wolves, who have now got to host Liverpool Feds, you would fancy them to get the win on that one. Burnley, you would perhaps fancy to beat Middlesbrough as well. Rugby Borough beat Derby County 6-0 on opening day. So it looks like it might be, particularly the top three, the same after the end of the weekend. Southern Premier Division, Billericay Town hosting AFC Bournemouth. Could be a very tough game for Billericay Town. Bournemouth beat them 7-0 on opening day. That's 12th against 2nd. Exeter City against Cheltenham, 6th against 5th. Couple of mid-table teams. Oxford United against Gwalior, 7th against 11th. Real Bedford take on AFC Wimbledon. Real Bedford in 4th, Wimbledon in 10th. Watford against Lewis, 1st against 8th. And Hashtag United against Plymouth Argyle, 9th against 3rd. So you've got 1st playing 8th, you've got 2nd playing 12th, you've got 3rd against 9th, you've got 4th in Real Bedford against 10th in Wimbledon, Oxford in 7th against Gwalior, who are 11th, and Hashtag against Plymouth. So essentially everybody in the top half pretty much is playing everyone in the bottom half. You've got Cheltenham 5th, Exeter City 6th, but other than that, it's kind of top half versus bottom half, so you would suspect it's probably going to stay relatively similar. Watford against Lewis. Lewis, they've actually played them so far this season. Also, it's 0-0 draw on opening day of the season. As we get into the second half, you'll see these fixtures are starting to repeat. But yeah, Bournemouth, big victory over Billericay Town. Plymouth Argyle against Hashtag United. Plymouth won 3-0 on opening day. Real Bedford against AFC Wimbledon. Real Bedford won 2-1 on opening day. And obviously now they're hosting. So you would think that the top half teams are mostly going to win. Division 1 Midlands, Lincoln United against Leafield Athletic. That is 12th against 3rd. Northampton Town take on Worcester City, 10th against 7th. Notts County against Barnsley Women's, 6th against 4th. Peterborough United against Kidderminster Harriers, 1st against 9th. Sutton Coldfield Town against Sheffield, 8th against 5th. And Boldmere St Michael's against Stourbridge, 2nd against 11th. So again, first are playing 9th, second are playing 11th, third are playing 12th, fourth are playing 6th. So that's the kind of closest game in the top half. Fifth are then playing 8th. But again, the top three sides then are all taking on teams right down towards the bottom of the table. And again, if you look at the likes of Peterborough United against Kidderminster Harriers, haven't played them yet this season. That is the first meeting between the two. But Leafield Athletic against Lincoln United is also the first meeting between the two. And Boldmere St Michael's against Stourbridge, that might be the first meeting between the two as well. Yes, it is, because they've not quite reached the halfway point in Division 1 Midlands. But again, it's another one where this weekend the teams at the top are taking on the teams towards the bottom. But as we saw from Division 1 North last weekend, that doesn't necessarily mean anything. Chorley against Wythenshawe, 5th against 3rd. Durham Cester against Doncaster Rovers Bells, 9th against 11th. Huddersfield Town, top of the table against bottom of the table Blackburn Rovers. Norton Stockton Ancients against Leeds United, 7th against 4th. Stockport County against Chester Street Town, 6th against 8th. York City against Cheadletown Stingers, 10th against 2nd as well. So top of the table against 12th, 2nd coming up against 10th, 3rd against 5th is going to be that big game you would feel for the league. But Huddersfield Town, they played Blackburn Rovers in the Cup and only won by 3-2. So Blackburn Rovers might put up a big fight in that one. But of course, with the top three all being on the same amount of points and Leeds United right behind them as well, it could be all change in Division 1 North. And I said, you think the teams at the top are going to win? Well, just look at what happened with Cheadle and Durham last weekend. So, really anything could happen. This is football after all. Division 1 South East, 2 leagues left to go through. Actonians, who are in 6th, against Cambridge United, who are in 7th. So real midfield clash, that one. AFC Sudbury against MK Dons. That's a big one towards the bottom. If Sudbury can win that game and get themselves out of the bottom 2 and with a game in hand, because they've got the better goal difference already over Milton Keynes Dons, that would be really significant for them. Cheshire United against Chatham Town, 12th against 5th. London Bees against Queen's Park Rangers, 3rd against 4th. So big clash, that one, because they're both trying to chase down the bottom 2. Fulham are away at Luton Town, who are in 8th. Norwich City are at home to Dulwich Hamlet, who are in 9th. So the top 2 you would again expect to win. And then if London Bees and Queen's Park Rangers draw, for example, and then they find themselves, they are 10 points adrift at the halfway point of the top 2. Even though it's fairly certain they're going to be the top 2 come the end of the season now anyway, it would just make it even more certain, because I cannot see those 2 sides dropping enough points for London Bees and Queen's Park Rangers to catch them up. You're looking at the moment anyway for Fulham and Norwich to lose 3 games each in the second half of the season. And I'm just not convinced that that's going to happen, given that combined in 20 games, they have lost 1 game so far this season. And that 1 defeat was Norwich City losing to Fulham. So if you take out the game where they played each other, Fulham have played 9, won 8, drawn 1. Norwich have played 9, won 9. So if you take out the game against each other, of 19 games that they've played, they've won 18 of them. So I can't see them dropping 3 games each in the second half of the season. Finally then, Division 1 South West has said very full programme this weekend. Ascot United against Abingdon United, 9th against 5th. Bournemouth Sports against Bridgewater United, 8th against 4th. Bridgewater United going somewhat under the radar this season, I feel. Maybe, as I said earlier, if they win those 2 games in hand, they might pressure Moneyfields for that playoff spot. But, I mean, that playoff is going to be a great game to go and watch, because it's going to be, realistically, it's probably going to be a Swindon or a Moneyfields, you would think, against a Fulham or a Norwich, and that is going to be a cracking game of football to watch. Bristol Rovers against Maidenhead United, 3rd against 6th. Moneyfields against Marine Academy. Plymouth is 2nd against 10th. Portishead Town against Swindon Town, 11th against 1st. And Worthing against Keynsham Town is 7th against 12th. So I'm not expecting, again, a huge amount of change towards the top of the table, because Swindon in 1st are against 11th. Moneyfields in 2nd are against 10th. Bristol Rovers against Maidenhead United. Maidenhead is 6th, so you could look at that game potentially. And then Bridgewater United in 4th against Bournemouth Sports in 8th. But you would suspect that the top 2 would win again. And again, they will just increase that gap if anybody else behind them slips up. But that will about do it for this week's episode of the Women's Football Chat. As I said, a full programme to look ahead to this weekend. So there is a lot going on. Of course, it's bright sunshine at the moment, as you can probably see on one side of my head. But it has been great. It has been wet. It has been horrible. There may well be some more postponements due to waterlogged pitches, depending on what the weather looks like over the course of the weekend. So do check before you travel. And again, say it's most weeks now, the Football Manager database is continuing to increase. I do have a published Tier 6 and up one already, which you can go and play. I've done it, played a season. Burnley and Watford, the teams who get promoted, which, given the way the current Tier 3 is looking like at the moment, with Burnley top of the Northern Premier Division and Watford top of the Southern Premier Division, it looks like it's fairly decent. Burnley got the furthest in the FA Cup as well, if anybody is interested in that. So you can download and play that now. There's a little bit of a glitch when looking at historic league tables, which you can get around, but the buttons don't seem to work properly. But that's not really a me thing, that's a game thing. I think they're still working on fixes. Still working on Tier 7. What I have done, I'm now very good at the I'm Not a Robot captures. I've contacted every single county league to see if they've got the list of kits for me, because otherwise Tier 7 and below is going to look like Sabutio teams, because there's just too many of them for me to do. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that I might be able to get it done before Christmas. So you've got all that for Christmas to look forward to. And of course, it's the big work now now, as with my FAWNL stats database, the big work is now. But then come next season and next year's game, the database is all there, and all I've got to do is move the teams into the correct league, and it'll be ready to go from pretty much day one. So the big work is now, and then hopefully we can just update it every single season. But yeah, so if you have any information on tier 7, or if you just want to spend, it takes me maybe about an hour a division to make it all and search out all the kits. So if you have got half an hour to spend, focus on tier 7, because then we can get the FA Cup up and running properly. If you have got half an hour just to go on X and go through the teams on tier 7 from a division, be it Cheshire, be it Nottinghamshire, be it whatever club it is, the Google Doc is there as well. And just let me know, even if it's only home team kits, they're the big ones really. Away, it doesn't matter, the game will just generate like an all white kit or something for away if necessary. And just let me know what the home kit looks like, shirt, shorts and socks, and just fill out some of that, and it just saves me a good 3 or 4 minutes a team, and it means that I can do a division every 20 minutes rather than every hour. And with 36 county leagues to go through, it's a lot of work. So if you have got any time, then please, if you have got, like I say, just half an hour or something just to help out, and then we can have this brilliant game that we can all play and enjoy. But that will about do it for this week's episode of the Women's Football Chat. I'll be back next week. Might actually be early next week. Got a lot going on next Thursday, so I know for a fact I can't record next Thursday. So I'll try and record next Wednesday and then get it out on time, but it might be a Friday one. Again, thank you very much for watching this week's episode of the Women's Football Chat, and goodbye.